So now, after you have committed this to your database, you see something something I want you to pay attention to, and that is this particular db.sqlite 3. Of course, this come also as part of functionality of Django. So now this is, so since we have committed that, and because we don't have any database connected to application, Django automatically creates for us this SQLite database, which is called db.sqlite 3. Now, to see the changes that we have made to our record or to our database, I want you to just see it in action. And as we go to this particular online SQLite view, of course, if I open this particular application, it's not going to be showing, because by default VS Code will not show, will not make it possible for you to view an SQLite file or an SQLite database. So let's go to our online SQLite viewer. So let's just go this. So to view your SQLite and to see the changes you are committing to your database, you just come to this SQLite viewer.app, and this is the application, and you are going to be opening the file. Of course, you should know where you saved your file, and for me, I saved it in my desktop, on my desktop, and I open this, and this is the particular file here. So now you can see, of course, I told you that Python Django comes shipped with some other functionality that we'll possibly be getting to, and we are going to be discussing later. But for now, let's just focus on the application that we created under coding school project, so which is student management. Now, for this student management, you can see that under student management you have a model called students, which is what we call our database table. And under the student management table, which is the application, you have the model student. And for, if you look at what we created, it is reflecting in our database, which is the first name field, the last name, the age, the email address, and so on. Okay, like that's all. So now that is it. So subsequently, as we are updating our database, we will be coming here to see our changes. Of course, later you get familiar with some other database like PostgreSQL and so on and so forth. But for now, let's not rush ourselves too much, and let's just limit ourselves to this default SQLite database shipped with Django. Shipped with Django. Alright, now let's look at some hard way or difficult way by which we can add some records to our database. Of course, this is some difficult on hard way, but subsequently we'll be looking at some easy way by which you can do that. But for now, let's just learn the hard way so that we get familiar with how things work on that in the background. So to do that, let's just clean our terminal. Of course, we'll be doing a bit of terminal in this session. So let's just look at our terminal, and we'll go to Python shell to write this command. And to go to Python shell, you just go your py manage.py, and I was spelling something again, manage.py, and you go to your shell. So this shell allow you to import something in your code, write, do some manipulation, and get something across to your database. So now the first thing we should do here is that we should import our model. Don't forget we are working with model model student. So you can just say student from student management, the name of the application called my student management, and under models I want to import model student. I want to import model student. So with that we can be able to manipulate and see some things from our database. Now for now, let's now see if we have any record in our data. Of course, we have confirmed from our web application that there's no record in our database at the moment, but let's just confirm by saying student dot object dot object. Of course, your record in database is saved as objects. So if you now import all, or if you now call all, it will now be saved, or it will now send it to you as an array of objects. Array of objects is just like, okay, you have an array as the parent, and as the element of the array, you now have objects. And when we talk about objects is just set of key value pairs. Like you have key, which is the name of the feed, and the value, which is the value attached to that particular row of the record. So it's very simple. So we go the object.all, and we can see now that we have our query sets and we don't have any record in the database. Now let's now try to add record to the database by just saying student. Of course, don't forget we have imported the model. If you want to do this, maybe you close the shell. To close the shell, you just go exist and you open your bracket and you close the bracket. That will close the shell. But for now, let's not close the shell. So if you close the shell and you want to start this again, you should not just jump to student.object.all. You should import the model again and go the route of student.object.all. Now we have seen that we don't have any. I told you that it's going to be an array of objects, but for now it's only sending back to us an array because we don't have any record in our database. So let's save some record in our database and we'll go and confirm from the web application, and we'll also come here also to query the record. Now let's go the student. Let's attach student to be equals to the name of the model, and we go the name of the model, and in the name of the model, don't forget that our feed name is first underscore name, and let's just call the first name to be John, and we put a comma. You can either use a single, like a double inverted comma, or single. It will still do the same thing, but just make sure you are consistent with whatever is it that you are using. So we go the last name. Don't forget you should follow the way you define it. You should not, like for example now, look at the way I wrote my last name. I wrote last underscore name. So I should not come here and now say last name. It will not work. So you should pay attention to details anytime you're doing anything like this. So the last name, we can then say do, and we also have a feed age. Of course, you don't need to put any data type that is not a string. You don't need to put it in a quote or in an inverted comma. You just write it like that. So the age feed can then be 40. I don't know, but it's fine, 40. And we also go the email. Email will just be, let's just say do at gmail.com. Do at gmail.com and you close your model. So if you enter now, you forget a comma. Yeah, you see that we have an error because if you look at it here, after defining this feed, I put a comma. After defining this feed, I omitted a comma. So that is why it is giving me the error. So even if you run into an error, you should not panic. Just look at the error message. So the error message will give you a clue or an idea of what went wrong with your code. So let me just be lazy this time around and just do a copy and paste. So let's just copy and paste. So I'll just go to where I have the issue. Just scroll your cursor and add the comma. So you put enter. Now you see that the code is fine now. So now we have created the student. Let us now go ahead to save it. So you then call the student and save you save it. So you press enter. Now this has actually saved the record to the database, but just to confirm, let us call the student dot objects dot all again, and now you can see that you have your query sets and you have your students object one. But I don't actually like the way this is describing our parameters. So let's confirm from our online database first if what we added to the database is actually reflecting in our database. So let's just refresh this. I believe you have this open already, so just go ahead and refresh it. Of course, I want to resume viewing it, and I want to view the file. You can see now that I have my John Doe age 40 and the email address as doe at gmail.com. So meaning that our record or successfully saved. Now, of course, if you want to save like 1000 records in your database, you should not go that route. Of course, you can look through and save it in database, but there's it's better when you use a user interface to save the record, which we are going to be looking at. But let's just see the working principles of this for now. Now, there's something I want you to see in action, and which is our the way this query set is being defined. You see that it's just saying student object one, which is not actually descriptive enough. Now, to make it descriptive, you just define your string under the model. You define the string under the model, which will give a description of okay how you want the model to be defined or how you want it to be explained. So just go dev, which is a way of defining a function, and there's a built-in function called string or str. So I don't want to go the shortcuts, so let's just type it out. So string, and we call the self, which the self in here means the model itself. So call the model, and anytime this model is being called, instead of just having some random student object 1 2 or anything, you just define what you want, the description that you want to give to the particular model. And to do that, you just say return format. Of course, this f is short form for format, and you format the string as self. Okay, let me just define self dot first name. So I think I just leave it like that. It's fine. So let's see it in action. So we can python manage .py, and let's now do shell. Yes, shell. I told you that once you close your shell and you open it again, the you should import your model again, or your model feed again. And to do that, all you just need to do is you say from your application name, which is student management dot models. Let's import students, which is the name of the tab name. Now we have it imported. Now let's now do query, or let's now do student. Oh, why am I spelling things wrongly? Student dot object dot all. So you now see that instead of us to have some student again, object and one, you see that we have the first parameter student, and because we define this string to be first name, so it's instead of it to be returning object 1, object 2, object 3, it's now giving us a description of okay, the first record I'm seeing here, it's the name of the student. So we can go ahead and add more records. Of course, I've seen how to add more records. Let's just go ahead and add one more. So you just go the same way. Or should I just copy and paste? Let me just type it. Don't be lazy. First name. I do John. Okay, let me do James this time around. I did John the other time. Put the comma. Don't forget your comma this time around. And the more you code all these things, let me see James do. The more you get from be James at gmail.com. So let's now go ahead. Saving, let's see it in our database. So subsequently we will be looking at how to update the data and how to delete data. You can even update the model, which is the structure of the data. But for now, before we leave the inserting and the querying, of course, anytime you learn anything in programming, you should look at how to create, how to read, how to update, and how to delete. So we have been able to look at creating, and we have been able to look at read. We have been able to query the data that we created. So subsequently we look at how to update and how to delete both the data and the model. The data is the record we are adding, and the model is the structure of the data. That is the feeds and the definition of the format that you want the data to take. So Now let's look at the last form of querying our data. Of course, we have looked at student.object.all. So you can also